Hello.
Hello, y'all.
Welcome to Book Witches with a B.
Yes. Hello.
Our first post-TikTok ban episode.
Kind of.
It has been reinstated.
Temporarily. I'm not holding out that much hope. But
So, if you do follow us on TikTok, you will probably have seen our video that we just recorded and posted about it.
Yes,
so,
we're in the same outfits. You'll know.
Yes.
You're in the know.
You're in the know.
Yeah.
If you don't follow us on TikTok, it's at BookWitchesPod. You can also find us on Instagram at the same handle.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're working on a Facebook.
We're working on a Facebook. If you are on Fable, which is a reader's app where you can do like book clubs and stuff.
Book clubs, book tracking. I've actually switched to that for my book tracking. It's nice.
Nice.
From what I've been reading.
I'm not very much of a social media person for books, so it's like new for me, but I like it. I like the platform.
I have not done like a posting thing. I truly have, well, I guess I have, but it's mostly just my reviews, but I forget that I think other people can see them. So it's fine.
It's all good.
I usually rate every book that I read at least 4 stars, even if it was bad. Because I feel bad.
A for effort.
I feel, yeah, you wrote a book. I didn't.
Exactly.
So.
Okay. So let's get started. We're going to be talking about chapters 26 through 30 of A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas.
Woo.
Ow, ow. And I'm going to go ahead and get started with the chapter recap.
We're ready.
If you've seen previous episodes in this season, I have used an incredibly thorough website for some of the chapter recaps when I haven't had time to write my own notes, and I'll put that link in our information again.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah.
Excited about this, actually.
Woohoo.
I also, just for my little tidbit, I read the chapters today, so very proud of myself for that.
Nice.
I listened to them this morning while I was doing dishes.
Very good.
Yeah.
I've been on this whole ordeal with house hunting, and just my life's been pure chaos. So So here we are. Get ready.
We're here. It's going to be great.
Buckle up.
We've also, again, read these multiple times.
So many times.
I was thinking about this, probably my 5th reread of these books.
Honestly, same.
I read these so much.
I was talking to my friend the other day where I was like, oh, it was Jessica.
Oh, was it Jessica?
I was telling her that you can ask me at any point in this whole 3-book arc. The 5th one I haven't read as much, but I'm like, I could tell you what's happening at like pick a chapter, say something, and I'll be like, oh, that's when this is happening.
Yes, yeah.
In this book series. So I have relied upon that a little bit this season.
No, we did these books because we read them so much, and we have a lot of thoughts on them.
It's true.
But
all right, so if you'll remember, we left off last episode with they're in the Mortal Lands, and Feyre was trying to light a candle on fire. She's out in the woods alone. Her and Rhys are they're writing flirty notes to each other back and forth.
I mean, throwing feels accurate, too.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, a note stopped. She's, like, waiting for a note to answer her back, and then she's, like, grasped into the air by the adder.
Which is terrifying.
A reappearance of the adder. Scary, scary thing.
Gross.
Chapter 26. Rhysand appears and binds the adder to a tree with his powers. The adder was sent to Feyre. He was sent to get her, like, capture her and take her back to the King of Hybern. He tells them that the king is in Hybern and his army will be coming soon, and the army is endless. He says they have allies in every territory, which is terrifying.
Gross.
Yeah. And they're all ready. Like, endless army. Like, think like Lord of the Rings, Mordor.
Yeah, that's a pretty accurate, creepy orc.
Yeah.
Which is the only thing I have a thought on that, but we can come back later.
Okay. Azrael comes and takes the adder away to be tortured.
Gross. Oh, by Az.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They want to kill him. They don't want to kill him, but they do want to send a message to the King of Hybern. Feyre realizes that Rhysand used her as bait, and he knew that someone wanted her, and she gets very mad.
Rightfully.
Yes. They start fighting, and he tells her that she forgot again about the fact that she is powerful. She has strength, she has power, but she stopped fighting. She panicked and she stopped fighting. Feyre keeps trying to hit him, but he keeps winnowing away from her, and she finally manages, through pure rage and willpower, to winnow for the first time and tackles him into the snow.
Love it.
Love it.
Love it deeply.
Amazing.
Of Rage Field.
Yes. Chapter 27. It's a very short chapter.
These first couple ones were very short. 29 and 30 were a lot longer. Yeah.
Feyre tells Rhysand to never use her as bait again. She's basically like, if you want me to be a weapon, I'll be a weapon. I will not be a pawn. I will not be used as bait. And you will not do anything like that without telling me again. Like, I deserve to know everything that's happening, and I deserve to not be a pawn in whatever's going on. He apologizes and says that they should go home. And she says Valaris isn't her home. To which Rhysand looks crestfallen. I would be too.
I mean, it's not her home.
I know.
I mean, it's where she's staying, but I get it. It doesn't feel like home yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Chapter 28. So apparently Rhys and Azriel tortured the Adder for information, and Rhysand asks Feyre how much she wants to know. She says she wants to know everything. So he shows her what they did. And this is kind of cool. You actually, like, this is the first time that we get Rhys's point of view.
Yes.
But it's not even, it's like, the way it's done is so clever. Because it's Rhys's point of view, but it's Feyre's point of view of Rhys's point of view.
Yes, which I love.
So good.
And I had some thoughts on that I will talk about in the deep dive.
Exciting.
So, yes.
So he lets her into her mind and shows her what they did. They asked how the Adder found Feyre, and the Adder says the king sent word of where she was, and it doesn't know how he found her. The Adder then tells Rhys good luck trying to keep her, as it's common knowledge that he took her from Tamlin, and the Adder lets them know that Tamlin has shut his borders. Rhysand tells Az to break the Adder's legs and shred its wings, and then dump it off the coast of Hybern. Like, you know, we got what we needed, we're sending you a message.
Very scary.
Yeah. Feyre asks Rhysand about the Spring Court, expecting to be shut down, but Rhys actually gives her whatever information she asks for. Rhys tells her that nothing is happening right now, but that she should know just how far Tamlin would be willing to go in order to protect what he thinks is his. Feyre writes a letter to Tamlin to say that she left of her own free will. She's safe and grateful for all he did for her. Ooh, Freudian slip if ever I had one. Grateful for all he did for her, but she's not coming back. Feyre asks Amren at dinner about when the tithe will take place in the Night Court. She says that the city dwellers do pay taxes, but they don't have a tithe. Feyre gives Amren the amulet back that she'd been gifted for the prison, and we find out that the amulet actually didn't have any power. There's no magic to it. She just knew that Feyre needed something in order to believe she would make it out of the prison. I love this moment so much, and we need to talk about it in deep dive, so don't let me forget.
I have a double thought on it, but yes, I do love it, but there's a different element from Feyre that yes,
okay,
we can talk about it.
We're going to talk about it. Chapter 29. So Feyre and the Inner Circle all go out for dinner that night in Valaris. They go to a restaurant. This is what we were talking about, how, like, Valaris feels very modern.
Oh, yeah, like, they have just restaurants.
There's restaurants. So they go out to dinner for a restaurant. The cook brings Amren blood. And Feyre realizes that Amren is a vampire, essentially.
Yeah. She's definitely an original vampire if we're really going off of that.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rhysand and Feyre walk home together after dinner, and she asks Rhys if he buys Amren jewelry because they're together. He says he did once invite her to his bed, but she laughed at him. Feyre then asks Rhysand why he isn't married, and he says that he's had lovers, but no one he wanted to spend his life with. He also says that anyone who married him would have a target on their back, and so would their children. Rhysand tells Feyre that the Night Court was once ruled from the Hewn City, and it really was a court of nightmares. An ancient High Lord had a different vision, staged a coup, and eliminated the worst of the courtiers and predators. He then built Valaris, and even though darkness has eventually grown again, there's a divide in the court. So Rhysand allows the Court of Nightmares to continue as it helps to hide Valaris.
Which I also have thoughts on.
Yes. Feyre hears music as they walk through Valaris and realizes that it sounds familiar. She recognizes it as the music that she heard in her cell under the mountain that made her cry and realize that she had to hold on to life again. She realizes that it was Rhys who sent the music to her, not Tamlin, and asks him why he did it, and he says that he did it to stop her from breaking. Feyre says that when she heard the music, she saw the Night Court. She saw the city of Valaris. And he says he didn't send her those images. So, mystery to be solved later, I guess.
Which, was it confirmed that she saw the night
Yeah,
court?
she
Okay.
saw like the city. It was like she saw this this city and these buildings rising up into like a beautiful starry night and stuff.
Which is probably
yeah.
Okay.
So the next day, they send flirty notes back and forth.
Yeah, they do.
And that's all it says for the end of that chapter, which is amazing.
That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah. Chapter 30. Cassian and Feyre are training together while Azriel and Rhys spar next to them. Feyre makes note of the fact that they all have the same kind of tattoos, that kind of like swirling black tattoo-y type thing. They tell her that Illyrians get them when they're initiated. Cassian asks when she's going to talk about the note that she sent Tamlin, telling him that she's not going back, and she says she'll talk about it when he talks about Feyre.
This made me giggle so hard. I love it.
She says she'll talk about it when he talks about he teases and taunts more to hide what he feels for her. Feyre realizes she hasn't really thought of Tamlin at all, and she notes he's probably trashed the manor in her rage. She then begins to get angry thinking about Tamlin and all she did for him in the name of love, and she thinks how he just sat next to Amarantha under the mountain while she suffered. He made no move to help her, hadn't risked being caught until that last night when he'd tried to sleep with her instead of help her. She's punching the sparring pads that Cassian holds as she's thinking about it all. She thinks of how she died at the hands of Amarantha, and she gets basically like, she's so like fired up that she ends up burning through the sparring pads. So she's like punching the sparring pads and like through fire and strength, I think probably a combination, like burns through them. She begins to cry, thinking of what she did, thinking of the Fae that she killed, and says that it should have been her. Rhysand tells her she'll always feel like that, and he knows because he's lived through that as well, but she can learn to live with it like he has. He tells her he only has 2 types of nightmares. The one where he or his friends are made to be Amarantha's playthings, or he dreams of Feyre dying over and over again.
Ouch.
I know. He then tells her, oh, is it here? We've talked about this a lot. He then tells her that the fire is from the High Lord of the Autumn Court Baron.
Yeah, I feel like they've talked about this before, but maybe not.
Maybe not.
She knew. She was like Autumn Court.
Yeah.
Like, I think she knew because like Lucian talks about it.
I think
and
so.
Things. Like, she knew that one.
Yeah. And then she tries to summon darkness like Rhys, but she can't do it. And this is where you were saying she's basically like, I can only think of bad things when I think of darkness. Being under the mountain, dying, all of that stuff. Being cold, And so he shows her how darkness can be beautiful. He like summons like a starry darkness essentially
around them. Yeah.
And that's the end of that.
Yeah, basically.
This might be our first ever episode that doesn't end on a cliffhanger.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, there wasn't really anything. For some, I think I accidentally read chapter 31, which has more stuff going on. When I was looking at it, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's not really anything like. I mean, I guess, well, there's a lot that happened, but it's not like a she's being taken kind of thing.
Right. It's not like, and then, what's going to happen next?
Yes. Yeah.
So, Cedric was looking at us.
Yes, I did see him. I have a cat. I have a black cat. I think I've showed him a few times in the episodes, and we are sitting in one of his favorite rooms, but he's not allowed in here because he is a menace and would not let us finish. So
He's so cute.
He's very cute, but he was just looking off
Yeah.
to the side. Little sad boy.
Yeah.
Also, he is named after Cedric Diggory. I don't know if I've ever talked about that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's named after Cedric Diggory. I wanted to name him Horace, and that was vetoed.
Oh, why?
I thought he's a Horus.
He kind of looks like a horse.
He does. My family said that was not a cute enough name. He's a family cat. We also have a dog named Jenny. I named after Jenny Weasley because she's kind of a redhead. That's why she's named Jenny.
I love
so
that.
we have book-themed animals. Not surprising. Clearly like books. But
shall we get into section superlatives?
Yes, ma'am.
Section superlatives.
Woo.
So, who do you think the drama queen of this section is? It's Feyre.
Oh, I was like, I think Amryn. Which she always is.
Amryn brings the drama.
She is drama.
Yeah.
Like, she's kind of hard to, like, she's not really a drama queen, but she's very, like, flouncy, I feel like, but, like, in a cold way. She just kind of, like, I don't know, I picture her and I think this is part of the depiction that I've seen, but she's talked about having that, like, sharp black bob.
Yes.
And things. I picture her as, like, a 1920s heiress, because she loves jewels. She's just, like, dripping in jewels.
She is bejeweled.
And she's just, like, not floating, but, like, kind of, like, gliding into a room, almost. And she's just like, oh, you can have my jewels. I have plenty of those. No worries.
I know that this is not at all the vibe, but now I'm just imagining her playing Bejeweled every time she walks into a room.
Yeah.
Specifically the chorus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. No, I like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that. I was going to say Feyre because she deflects everything by being like, let's talk about your relationship drama.
No, I think that's so funny. I love the comeback because it's definitely like them needling her but not giving her anything back. And she's like, okay, if you're going to needle me, I'm giving it back to you.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that was great.
I think it's great. I think it's exactly what was needed in that moment.
Mm-hmm. It is.
But it's a little dramatic.
It is. That's fair. It's also usually how I respond to things, so probably why I don't really think that much about it, to be honest. If they were digging like that into it.
I would also respond the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think it's a little bit dramatic.
It is. It's fair. You're not wrong.
But I think that you're right that Amren is the drama.
I think it's truly just specifically that section where she's just like, yeah, no, she's like, I literally just found it at the bottom of one of my mini jewelry boxes.
Yeah.
I thought it would look and work, made up this whole thing, gave it to you.
Yeah, she was like, you needed it, so I thought I'd be very, like, magnanimous and give you what you needed.
Yeah, and, like, she's really proud of herself for this.
Yeah.
Like, this is, like, a big deal for her.
Yeah.
And Feyre's just like, I don't understand.
There's that, she was like, but Rhys kept looking at it, and Amren's like, he's probably just surprised that I gave you something.
Yeah, because she doesn't do that. That's not, which I don't think anyone expected her to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Craziest thing to happen.
Oh, gosh. When I first read this, rereading it, this is not when I first read it, her sending the official note to Tamlin was huge.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of figured, but I didn't know because she had gone back so many times.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know she would, which I wouldn't blame her for wanting to go back. But
Yeah.
well, I mean, I would, but I wouldn't. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was pretty crazy. I thought snapping into, the way we snapped into Rhys's mind this time, where it was like fully him,
which I liked. This is like we don't get a lot of Rhys's perspective, really. Even in like once we start getting it, we don't get it a lot.
Yeah.
In these, which is fine. Feyre's the main character. Rhys is just the pretty boy on the side kind of thing. But Yeah, no, those are both dramatic. This section has a lot of kind of major things, but a lot of it's also like building chapters.
It is. Yeah.
It's like relationship building, which is good, and you need that in character building, which I think Sarah is really good at.
Mm-hmm.
But
there's
not. I mean, the adder thing is dramatic, but it doesn't feel that dramatic. I don't know.
It's not that dramatic. I think what was more dramatic about that is that Rhys used her as bait. I mean, so like that's dramatic of Rhys.
Yeah, it is.
But then, like, I also think that he's doing it for a very good reason, because she's not really in any danger. He and Asriel and Cassian were all there, and they have their full powers back, so they can definitely take the adder on. But it's more like you need to realize that you're not powerless anymore.
Which, there are other ways to do that.
There are.
And also, it's... like, it was just unnecessary not to tell her.
She should have known.
Yeah.
She would have been prepared. But I do think that part of that is they're about to go into some sort of war situation where she's not going to be prepared for everything.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. To me personally. Like, I understand telling her.
I think that it would have been important to be like, hey, you're not going to be prepared for every situation, so be prepared for every situation.
And that's fine.
Then that would have been okay.
It does not, to me, excuse the bait. That's what I'm meaning by that.
Yeah,
she should be, and like, I think she knows that. It's also not like she hasn't been in multiple situations that she was not prepared for.
Correct. She has
the entire time from the moment she let that arrow go.
Yes.
She's been in consistent, unprepared situations.
Correct. So. And she has managed.
She has been just fine.
Yeah. So, yeah. A lot of underestimating Feyre going on.
Correct.
By herself, too, but... Yeah.
Well, she's learning about herself. She doesn't know.
Yeah.
She has a lot about her body that she doesn't even know.
There is. I do think, like, this is just, like, I do think that she underestimates herself over and over again because she never has anyone telling her that the things that she's done have been amazing.
Yes.
Except for when they're, like, groveling and crying at her feet, which is she's very uncomfortable with.
Yeah, that feels more like hero worship than, like, actual praise.
Yeah, than being like, hey, you're incredible,
yeah.
you're strong and incredible, and you've done impossible things.
Yeah.
No one tells her that, so.
No, they do not.
Not even the inner circle, which is upsetting.
They don't. No. Well, they also... That's probably more of a deep dive conversation. I have thoughts about that. But I have thoughts about how they handle situations that aren't comfortable. The answer is they don't.
Yeah, no, they don't.
I have...
They really don't.
They don't. And that's very clear in this section.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of thoughts about it. But...
Well, shall we skip on over to Colleen's corner first and then hit the deep dive?
We can.
All right, Colleen.
Colleen's corner.
My corner. Okay, so I don't have this, like, incredibly structured as much as I would love to. But I think in, like, this chunk specifically, a lot of people, when they talk about these books, talk about how, which they're not wrong, Tamlin and Rhys are not that different. In a lot of ways. They are different in certain ways. But I think this chapter, and honestly the kind of subsequent chapters up to this section, Rhys and Tamlin are really not that different in this section at all. There's a few things that make it a little bit different that I think make a big difference to Feyre. But they really aren't that different.
Tell us more.
Okay. Well, so the whole Weaver thing, which I know that was old. I'm just going to shift myself here. Yeah. So I know that was old. But, again, he continually keeps putting her in these situations where she is completely unprepared. I get that he's doing the whole, like, prepping for war. I think that's bull. He's just horrible at communication. He just is in this section for her.
Yes, he is.
He's good in certain ways and not in others. I don't know if... I think, honestly, it's... habits are hard to break. He's literally had to be the mysterious man for a long time. He's also very clearly holding a lot of secrets that he's not telling her. We know what those are, but that's
we know what they are, but we don't know yet in our read.
I don't. So there's a lot going on, but the whole like again, Rhys is making choices. They're like the same but opposite. So Tamlin made choices for Feyre, but the choices he made for her was to lock her up. Rhys is making choices for Feyre, but his is to put her in more continual danger.
Yes.
So it's the same concept.
It is.
Just very different execution.
Yes.
The thing that I think is a little bit different is I do think when Feyre's like, you are not going to do that, which we don't know if Rhys will not, but at this point, it appears if Rhys said, I agree with you, I'm not going to do that. Tamlin also said that. And then the moment that the tough got tough, he did the same thing. So we don't know at this point if that is what he is or is not going to do. I think it's just the way that Feyre interacts with them that makes how we feel about them different, but they're really not.
No, they're not that different.
They're not that different in a lot of ways. They are very different in a lot of ways. The way that they interact with... Interestingly, I think the way that they both interact with Feyre is not that different. It's the way that they interact with everyone else that isn't Feyre. That is different, and I think that what differentiates them more. Like, even when Feyre, when she's fighting with Cassian, or she's talking to Amren, the section when she's talking with Amren, and the race is what they call them. I don't know if it's a derogatory term in the book. I couldn't really tell. It didn't seem positive, but I don't really know. But Amren's like, oh, they're definitely going to go tell Az.
Yeah.
Like, because he's spying on me. And she's like, Rhys has told him 100 times not to do it. He's not going to stop. And Feyre's like, he just lets him get away with that.
Yeah.
And she was like, I would be insulted if he didn't keep an eye on me. Like, and also, he understands it's for the better good. Like, he's not going to punish them.
Yeah.
For those kinds of things. And, like, Tamlin would not.
Yeah, no, Tamlin would not stand that.
No, not at all.
If he had rules and Lucien went against them, Lucien would be in big trouble.
Which he does, and he is.
And he is,
multiple times.
Correct.
Which I think is why Feyre is so baffled by that, particularly from someone who... I mean, Rhys is a very commanding, and, like, he does expect when he says something to be done, but I don't think and maybe it's because, I wonder if Tamlin is just not that powerful of a High Lord, and that's why he feels so inferior, because, like, Rhys definitely has the benefit of literally there was no one else on this planet outside of maybe the King of Hybern.
Yeah.
And I guess Amarantha. Amarantha was just more cunning.
She was tricky.
Yes, which I feel like he hated because he's also a pretty cunning person. And I saw it but didn't, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like...
I see what you're saying. So, because basically the thing is, what it comes down to is they're both making decisions for Feyre based upon what they think she needs.
Yes. And not really...
And not what she actually needs.
Yes.
I do think that to your point where the difference between how they're doing it makes a lot of difference to Feyre, because she will do anything to not be locked up. And so being put in continual danger is kind of just the way that her life has always been.
She's comfortable with it.
So it's freedom for her.
It is.
But I do appreciate that she stood up for herself and was like, you know what? This is not okay.
Well, and it truly isn't. And this section, I remember, this is very... to me, when I read this, I was literally watching The Vampire Diaries, very Damon coded of like, because if you know anything about these books, you kind of know where this is going. And, like, I kind of already knew where it was going, and I was just like, how is this going to be, like, a redeemable person at the time? And same with Damon. How I knew things about him, how to... And then you get there eventually.
You get there,
But, like, watching that journey, which, again, I love that. But, like, I remember reading through this and really not being certain about Rhys and being like, I don't understand. Like, he's still making choices for her. He's not doing the things... Yes, especially at this point. Like, this is the second time within, 3 days? Or so, maybe longer, but not by much.
Oh, not a lot.
Yeah, like that he's done this, and like clearly the first time Feyre didn't like it.
Very clearly.
And she's also very clearly willing to do things that make her
She
uncomfortable.
just wants the information.
Yes, she is obsessed with information.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
The
last time she didn't get information, she was locked away under a mountain, so valid.
Correct.
Died. And literally
died.
Yes,
so.
no, I don't fault Feyre for any of the choices that she's made up to this point. There's some other ones that I don't think were great that she made, but that's later on.
It's okay.
But up to this point, I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
I would have also made these choices.
You know what's really funny is, like, when I was reading this for the first time, I do think that you are much more firm with the boundaries that you hold for people and how they interact with you than I am.
Yeah.
I need to be better with my boundaries.
You're getting there. It's fine.
I'm getting there. But, like, so when I was reading it, like, I was pissed at Rhys for the things that he was doing. But for me, I was like, he's still so much better than Tamlin.
I really didn't think so. And
I really did.
No. I understood that there were elements of him that was better. And I think he seemed to have maybe better motivations to a degree, but it wasn't that different, and I could tell it wasn't that different.
Yeah.
And I was like, Feyre, I really, and like, she didn't have a choice. Those were her two choices, were them at this point, and so I didn't, again, fault her. I think there were better people around her for her to be able to navigate this situation than the other one. Not that Lucian isn't great, but there's just more of them in the Night Court. There is a reason that Tamlin only has Lucian.
Yes.
But,
yes.
yeah. Yes. But I just think unless Rhys stops behaving in the way that he does, I think eventually he's going to equip her to leave him.
Yes.
So if that's not what he wants, I do think he needs to change himself, or he's going to be like Tamlin and she's going to be gone again.
She will be gone.
I don't know where she's going to go.
I don't think that he's going to lock her in a palace.
No, but I do
But
think...
she will leave him.
Well, I mean, if he puts her in another situation where he doesn't tell her all of it, that he knows to a degree. I think sometimes he doesn't tell her because he's not 100% certain and he doesn't want to look dumb.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's also some of his problem is he is very arrogant. I think there was this scene where she was like, do I need to put up a mirror so you could see yourself, see how arrogant you look or something, and Cass and Az just like lose it. I can't remember the exact quote, but it's in that like last chapter. There's some sort of thing where she's just like, do I need to get you a mirror so you can stare at yourself longer? Because he's like really primping and preening himself.
I'm gonna find that while we finish up.
It's so funny. It's one of my favorite quotes in this section. Feyre in that whole chunk is so funny. It's one of my favorite like Feyre sections.
Yeah. I'll call you out again, Frank.
Frank,
She's not boiled chicken.
I will say, which I think the reason that we think that is because of the 5th book. And I don't, I think if you read the first 3, she's fine. She's not as good. Well, the first half of the 3rd book is actually my favorite. We're not going to get there. The first half of the 3rd book is absolutely my favorite.
Yeah.
Especially from her standpoint.
Yeah. It's so good.
It's so good. Once we get there, y'all, I'm so excited.
Guys, yeah.
Which will be a little bit.
It'll be a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, let's go on to deep dive because there's some things I do want to read.
Yes, that's
out.
Fine. That's
Shall
fine.
we go to deep dive?
Yes.
Time for a deep dive.
Deep dive.
Deep dive.
Hey y'all. Here we
Hey,
are.
y'all. I'm gonna set myself up. I look like I'm
Okay, so
slouching.
first let's talk about what we wanted to talk about with Amryn and the jewel that has no magic.
Oh, yes. Do you want me to go first? Do you want to
Go for it.
Okay, so at this point, if I was Feyre, I would gather the entire inner circle, sit them down and be like, I am tired of this. Stop doing this to me, and be honest, I'm going to kill all of you. I know, in theory, Amryn was, doing it to make her feel better, but it would make me feel so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing, and, knowing that Rhys knew, and even after they got out from under the mountain, never told her.
Yeah.
Which, again, I do think it was Amryn's business to tell her, and maybe he wasn't, 100% certain about it.
I do feel like Rhys just didn't know what was going on and decided not to question it.
Which, fair. But, again, if I'm Feyre, Rhys has basically tried to kill me twice, has put me in all of these situations, took me back under a mountain to talk to some creepy little bone carver boy.
Yes.
Amryn gave me this fake amulet. I would be like, all of you? I'm looking at all of you. Do this again and you're going to see how much fire I got. I would be so, frustrated.
I don't know that I would have been frustrated with Amryn
I would have.
because I would have... No, I feel like here's the thing with... I don't know that we actually know how Feyre feels about it. Do we get a lot from her?
We don't really get an emotional... I think she just seems kind of,
Bewildered?
think she's very... What I do appreciate about Feyre, and I agree with this from a lot of standpoints, she's so busy, which is why she notices, them.
Yeah.
She is so busy trying to understand the people around her, so much so that I think she's less focused on what they're
herself.
doing to her,
Yeah.
and more focused on, which is a trauma response, by the way, being able to scan a room and understand who everyone was and what version of you they want you to be. Very much a trauma response.
Yes.
People pleaser trauma response. Very fun.
Ow.
We love those. Probably need a little more of that. But it's I think she's more trying to figure out Amryn. So we don't really know how she feels about it. It's just kind of like a tidbit. And I don't disagree that it's a sweet tidbit. I do think Amryn was genuinely trying to help her and make her feel more confident. And I get a placebo thing. But I think at this point, and I think if that would have happened without the thing that had happened with the adder within the same time frame, I think for me it would have been different. But I think it would have been
I don't know if you remember, but Amryn did not approve of what happened with the Weaver. She just said that it was brutal but effective.
Yes.
And I don't think that she would have approved of not preparing Feyre for the adder either. I think that she would have been, I think she was probably like, Rhys, just tell her what's happening.
Yeah, I don't actually think that Feyre is mad at Amryn.
No.
Even with this, I think she's just frustrated with them continually underestimating her.
Yeah. But Amryn wasn't underestimating her.
Which is true. But I think in my head, that's what I would have gone through. I don't know. I think it's just, the back-to-back-to-back of, people seemingly continually not telling me truth about things. I would have been like... Y'all.
Yeah, no.
I can't, even if this was sweet, I can't take it.
I would not have, it would have been, it's a different category for me, completely.
For me, it would not have been.
For me, I would have been like, thank you for lying to me so I could get through that. I really needed it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I guess I get it.
Yeah.
I just think there was, I don't know. I don't think, the first time I read this, I didn't think that. I will be honest. I was just like, oh, Amryn's so sweet. And I do think Amryn is being sweet about this. But...
Yeah. Again, she's being dramatic. It's a dramatically sweet thing.
Yes, which is very Amryn.
Very Amryn.
And I do love Amryn. Amryn's one of my favorite characters. I adore her.
She's great. I love her.
But I think that, like, it's a very, like, light straw on a camel's back kind of situation, but I think
Maybe.
after all of that and, like, seeing, I think just, like, the continual, like, I sent my note to Tamlin, I've done this, I saw my sisters, they sobbed when they saw me, I almost got taken by the adder, now this thing that I thought protected me actually was fake, and what if I really thought it would protect me, and I tried to use it?
But see,
And I
that's
can't
the
get out
thing,
of
because
it.
Amryn was in that prison for...
Yeah.
She knows what Feyre was going into.
She does, but, like,
So-
what if I'm Feyre? Again, I would be like, what if, I would be like, Amber, what if something happened to me? And I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna trust, which, like, Feyre's not going to, but what if I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, this amulet's gonna get me out, no worries, and then suddenly I'm dead because I trusted your fake
Yeah,
amulet.
none of that would have gone through my mind. I would have been like, thanks for helping me get through this, because I wouldn't have been able to do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I understand it's supposed to be a sweet gesture,
Yeah.
but I think at that
It is,
point,
Colleen.
I would have been
You're wrong.
frustrated.
You're not wrong. You're entitled to feel however you do.
That's how I would have felt. I would have been like, you're great, I love you, but, like, I'm dying. I'm dying. Please stop.
I also don't think Amryn is the one to say that to.
I-
Amryn doesn't care. She did a sweet thing for you because she felt nice that day.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
I would have still said it to her.
I would not have said it to her. I would have said it to Cassian.
That's fair.
I would have said it to Azriel and more. I would have been like, thanks, Amryn.
That's fair. I think I forget that Amryn is scary, and I know she is, but I just don't picture her.
She's a vampire.
I know. But okay, I will also say that I'm very desensitized to vampires as being scary things.
That's fair.
They're not scary in my brain.
No, I mean, same here. They're just hot in my brain.
Exactly. I'm like, she's just hot and kind of powerful. Like, that's most people in the books I've read.
Yes.
So that's
I
not
do
new.
like the type of vampire she is.
Yes.
Because she's not she's never called a vampire. That's just us.
Yeah. It's the easiest.
Yeah,
equivalent we
like
have.
she's some sort of monster that drinks blood that has been trapped in like a fae body, essentially.
Yeah.
So but she is very cold, and she's very aloof, and she's very cat-like, which I think is very vampire.
Which, yes, I think so too.
Right? And like she just like love it.
No, I love Amryn very deeply.
Yes.
I think I know she, like I said, I know she's supposed to be scary. I just think of her more as that, like, older, kind of maybe, like, annoying sister type figure, which I don't have an older sister, but, like, that kind of, like...
I don't either.
There's just that, like, maybe older aunt or, like, older mentor type person that you're doing all these, and you would just be like, I mean, effective, but what? Like...
Again, I do not agree with you. I think that what she did was what Feyre needed.
It's fair.
Yeah.
It's fair.
I don't think Feyre would have gone into that prison if she didn't believe that she could get out. And she was going to get out, but she didn't believe it herself. So it's the whole, what is it? Dumbo needing the feather to fly
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, but Dumbo was a child.
Feyre is also a child.
In their eyes, yes. I guess she's 19.
Yeah. 20.
20. Ooh, sorry. Not from you. Just
So,
from like a...
sorry, all of you 20-year-olds out there. When we say you're a child, it's because I'm 32. So
We are old. Yes.
yeah,
It does seem like a child.
Yes.
I did see a gaggle of college kids the other day, and I was like, I'm so old.
they do.
Clearly by me calling them a gaggle.
Yes, that was a good word. Good word choice there.
Thanks.
Let's talk about that moment where Feyre is like looking at all of the bat boys and she's like, wow, they're super hot.
Okay.
I'm gonna read that because it just came across.
It's very funny. It's my favorite quote. So this is when they're sparring. So she's like learning to fight and sparring with Cassian, and Rhys and Az are shirtless. Like when she was talking about all their like swirling tattoos all over their bodies. She's like watching them from far away, and she says this line, and it is so funny. It's this book reminds me of how funny she is.
Yes.
And like her inner monologue it just makes me giggle. So she's like looking at them and she goes, "Cauldron boil me. What did they eat to look like that?" I love how Feyre thinks that eating is what makes them look like that.
It's gotta be something in the food.
Yeah, she's like, which I think it's similar to, because I have said this, and I think it's just like, it may be like a Midwestern Southern thing, but like, especially like with football players. So I grew up around watching a lot of football, and you see the linemen, and like, you'll see, like, we would go to different towns, and like, I don't know what was in the water. We talked about like something being in the water, or like, those are some corn-fed boys. They were tall and big.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is the size of a grown man, and he is 15.
Yes.
I'm like, that is a big old boy. So I'm thinking it's the equivalent of like,
thing.
yeah, what's in the water over there, or like, man, that's a big old corn-fed boy. Like, I think it's the equivalent of that, but it's just the way that it's worded in this section is so funny.
So going off of that, I forgot that this happened. This is a really important moment.
Okay.
So let's talk about Feyre the painter, Feyre the artist. Feyre the artist died with her. You know, she came back to life and she can't paint anymore. She doesn't think in colors. That's been like very vividly missing from this book. And then we have, while she's watching them, I doubted Cassian was drinking in the rest of the image, though. The stomach muscles gleaming with sweat in the bright sun, the bunching of their powerful thighs, the rippling strength in their backs, surrounding those mighty, beautiful wings. Death on Swift Wings. The title came out of nowhere, and for a moment I saw the painting I'd create. The darkness of those wings, faintly illuminated with lines of red and gold by the radiant winter sun, the glare off their blades, the harshness of the tattoos against the beauty of their faces. I blinked and the image was gone, like a cloud of hot breath on a cold night. That's the first time all book long that a painting has come to her. Like, that she's suddenly been like, I would paint this.
She's fine. Yes, that like she can see it. She wants to paint it. She's noticing the
yeah.
I mean, fair enough. Looking at a hot man would also probably make me want to paint something.
Yeah. Talk about healing.
Yeah, it'll get you there.
Yeah.
It'll do it. But I mean, that is true. She finally, I think, she's told, like, at this point, she's told Tamlin she's not coming back, which we can also talk about that.
Yes, we should talk about that.
But, like, she's told Tamlin she's not coming back. She's, like, working through that, you know, going all through that. But I think she finally feels like she can look now.
Yeah.
Like, without feeling the guilt
yes.
of it, which, the moment she melted the ring when they took her away, I think everyone kind of knew that engagement was over, but it wasn't official.
Yeah, and also, like, for her, like, she was still getting over it.
Oh, yeah, of course. So. But, yeah, she's just looking and, like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been in a museum. We've seen pretty people in paintings.
We sure have.
That's throughout history.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
It is.
It is. Or in modern history, you know, they take photographs, but
yeah, same theory though.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just the first painting comes to her and it's great. And then like from this point on, we do get back to that. She starts thinking in colors and textures and all of that again,
which is very fun and not a way that I think of the world, and so I find it interesting. Also, I don't remember that happened. It's not a way that I think about it, so I don't always like lock in on it, but it is very interesting.
All right, let's talk about the adder first.
Okay, yes. So I had like one note about no one needs to collaborate on that with me. I had like one major note, but like so the adder's doing like also so I think it's really interesting because the adder's been this like big scary thing, and like I think we were realizing really how not powerful he is in this section. He's
like a grunt.
Like a low level
very
grunt.
Low level,
like Rhys was without like what was it was the just by Black Shadow, but she mentioned something about it, but he literally just like snaps and the adder is bound by his shadows. Like also again shows their power, Rhys's power or whatever. But the note that I made specifically, so the adder totally sasses, backtalks Rhys, which Rhys to the rest of the world, like I will say Feyre is seeing a different version of Rhys.
Yes.
To the rest of the world, Rhys is this like cold, distant,
sassy,
scary, powerful high fae, and the adder's like snapping back at him, doing all of his stuff. He sees Asriel and starts to tremble.
Yes.
Like I literally put the adder didn't seem necessarily afraid with Rhys. He didn't start shaking until Az showed up. And I don't remember... I've been trying to pay more attention to Asriel in this reread because I really haven't. And there's a lot more about him in this book than I realized.
Yes.
And I was like, oh. Which, again, that's the Kingdom Torturer. That he is the one that did the torturing. It took Az an hour...
to break him.
To break... What is essentially like a... I mean, he's a court spy.
Yes.
Has been a court spy for a while. I'm assuming must have been trained in this. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. Regardless, breaking anyone in an hour.
Yeah, that's fast.
Is fast for someone that, like, very clearly doesn't want to give info.
Yes.
Kind of stuff.
I think it's interesting that you point out that he, like, truly not scared until Asriel shows up.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. He saw Rhys in a diminished form.
That's true.
And was allowed to make fun of him, hurl insults at him, was protected by Amarantha, which is why Rhys is like, let me remind you that I am very powerful and I will enjoy torturing you.
I forgot about that. That's true. That's probably fair.
But then, like, Azriel comes and he is the terrifying spy master torturer of the Night Court.
Well, we don't know that up until this point yet, either. Like, we know he's a spy master.
Yeah.
We don't know that, like, what that entails, I guess, if that makes sense.
I guess that's true. I did suspect.
I did not.
Really?
No. I was like, well, in my mind, like, when I think of spy, I think of, like, 007 spy. Like, someone else does the torturing.
That's fair.
That's someone else's job.
That's fair.
No,
I had a feeling simply because of comments that Tamlin and Lucien had made in the past.
That's fair.
About them. I was like,
picture them as, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. I am a very face value girly, I will be honest.
That's
when
fair.
it comes to, like, character description, when it comes to, like, social interaction, I look deeper in that, clearly. By, how I speak about them. But, yeah, and they're like, he's a spy master, and I'm like, cool, loves the shadows. Got it.
Yeah.
Done and dusted.
Information collector more than torturer.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's kind of the vibe I was getting, especially because he is so quiet. Like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of the times in, like, these kinds of fantasy novels, the person who was the torturer is not quiet. It would actually be someone closer to, like, Cassian's personality, where they're kind of more boisterous and, like, loudmouthy.
Yeah.
That I think would be. So I think it's also just the genre. At least for me, or the association that I have with the genre.
It's possible, because, like, again, I was, like, not surprised. I was like, yeah, no, that makes sense for me. Because he's quiet, and then he's described as very, like, rough and wild.
That's
always.
True.
Even though he's quiet.
He has that, like, simmering.
Yeah, so I was just like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah.
It was just the first time that I realized Az was just actually scary.
Yeah.
Before now, I was just like, oh, okay.
He's definitely not scary until this point.
Yeah, like, he's not really depicted as intimidating, and I don't think he wants to be viewed as intimidating by the people that he's interacted with so far.
Yeah.
But with the Adder, he's like, oh, no. He definitely has a very strong protective streak, which I appreciate.
Yes.
A lot. But yeah, I just thought that was, like, that really, like, stuck this reread. Again, because I'm focusing more on Az than on other characters.
Because I think it is, I mean, we do get a lot more than I had initially thought.
Yeah, a lot, especially this chunk. We don't get as much kind of later, but even, like, when we're in Rhys's mind, you're hearing Rhys's thoughts about Az, which I think is interesting, like, as he's, like, looking at him during the, like, torture session or whatever, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, shall we talk about saying goodbye to the Spring Court forever?
Thank goodness.
I know.
I like, we're there.
Finally.
Yes, I remember thinking finally. I also have a hard time getting through a timeline of, like, really how fast a lot of these events are. Especially when you're reading it, it just feels slower, I think.
It does, yeah.
But yeah, I remember when she sent the letter, I was like, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Like, we knew it was coming. I don't think anyone was surprised by it. I don't even think Feyre was surprised by it.
No, I don't think she'd been ready yet.
No, and I think she should have, even if it would have taken her longer, from, like, a narrative standpoint, I was glad that we didn't have to, like, continue through it, because I think it would have been difficult to wade through that more.
Yeah, it definitely would have
been. From, like, a narrative standpoint, I was very ready for it to be done. As, like, a person living throughout that, probably would have taken me way longer.
Oh, yeah.
So I get it.
Definitely. Tamlin's shut down the spring borders so tight that they can't even fly over.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, we don't know. I'm gonna bring back my favorite theory.
Okay, I'm excited.
That the first book is Beauty and the Beast, but opposite. In that Tamlin wasn't actually a beast. The curse started for him at the end of the book when the curse was broken.
And he turned into the beast.
And he turned into the beast.
Yeah.
Now he's locked down the spring
court, like, similar to the castle.
Similar to the castle. Yeah. So I'm very interested. And then, like, no spoilers here, but spoilery without context. There's a theory out there that there's another character that might lead to the Tamlin's character's redemption arc.
Oh.
And a lot of people hate that, but I love it, because if you're thinking about it in terms of it being the opposite of Beauty and the Beast, he also went through trauma. He went through a lot of trauma, and it doesn't excuse his actions at all. And I don't forgive him. But he does deserve to heal from that and have that redemption arc. And he is a beast. So I would be interested to see him be healed and come out of that beast form eventually.
I think Rhys, or not Rhys, I mean, yes, Rhys, but I think Tamlin deserves a redemption arc. I don't think Feyre has to accept it.
No, she does not.
Like, I think everyone has, anyone who, even if they are the abuser, deserves to be able to actually move, if they take the correct steps and move forward.
Yeah.
And can heal themselves, can do those things.
Mm-hmm.
That does not mean that any of their victims has to forgive them or is, because I think that's what people get confused by when they think that these, like, Tamlin's getting a redemption arc. That they think, you know, like, oh, that means Rhys and Feyre and them. They don't have to think that.
They don't.
They can think he's the scum of the earth, and he was.
Yes.
Like, they can still think that. It doesn't mean that they have to change that perspective at all.
I think people are worried because given how much Feyre has forgiven people who have done awful things to her, I think that if Tamlin were to get a redemption arc, I do think she would forgive him. But that's her choice.
And that's my thought is, it is, again, her choice. If that's what she wants to do, and that's what works best for her to move forward, that is her choice. I will also say, if he does get a redemption arc, this is for a completely different series, but we have seen that before, and Sarah did an incredible job with it. Throne of Glass.
Oh, yeah,
she did.
She did a really good job.
She did a good job. I mean, she even does it with a different character in this series, in a different book. Again, I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, she's really, really good at taking characters.
Yes,
She's incredible at taking characters that people do not like, and she writes them purposely not likable, and putting them in books in one book.
Yeah.
Making you, like, sob for them by the end of it.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Like, that is something she is very good at, so it wouldn't surprise me if she doesn't do it.
It's true.
Knowing what she's done with other series.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Ah, goodness. Do you want to know something really funny?
Yeah, I would always love to hear things funny.
I was driving around with my husband Joel yesterday looking at houses, and I was like, I'm sorry, I need to listen to the chapters while we're driving. Yeah. And he was like, okay. I was like, I'm sorry, because like he never wants to listen to it. And he was like, no, it's fine. And so I have it on, and he's just listening to it, and he goes, wow, this is absolute garbage, but it's done so well. Joel, I was like, it's not garbage. He was like, it's so rough, like, but like it's done so well. Like and I was like, no, you have it the opposite, in fact, is that like it's not garbage. What you're like, the relationship aspect of it, I can say
at this point is garbage.
It's garbage, yeah. But I was like, no, like the actual plot and the world building are incredible.
They are incredible.
She does an incredible job. I was like, what you are finding garbage is just like the dialogue between Feyre and Rhysand while they're flirting. Yeah. Which like, and I was like, you know, listening to the audiobook version of it and not having any context. Yes.
No, it does. Out of context flirting is always weird.
It's so bad.
It's also, yeah, it was like, he has no context really for any of the rest of it.
None.
So just hearing this like weird flirting, especially early flirting,
so awkward.
It's awkward.
Always garbage.
It's always bad. No matter like if you're the two smoothest people on the planet.
Yeah.
It's awkward because it has to be.
Yes.
It just is.
Yes, I agree. So he was like, "Oh, okay." And then we were listening, and he kept on being like, "Where's the smut?" He was like, "Where's the vulgarity? Where's the smut?" And I was like, "This is not a smutty novel."
People do. I will say it's smuttier than some.
It is.
And this one's probably no. The third one
is
definitely more.
Yeah.
But like, this is the beginning of it, I would say, in terms of what it is. But I've never, even when I went into this book thinking it would be a lot more than what it was, and it's really not. It's not a lot. I heard someone it was on the internet say like this was basically like a movie with a sex scene.
Yeah.
Like it really is. It's like
I agree.
A scene in it, basically.
Yeah, basically.
A scene or two. There 2 or 3.
So
but like,
I honestly think he was a little excited because he has caught me like listening to the Zodiac Academy series, which is all sex all the time.
Yeah.
And he's even, I think he like overheard one of the sexier scenes in Fourth Wing when I was listening to it. Iron Flame when I was listening to it. And so I think he was like kind of a little excited to like, oh, I wonder
He's
like what we're gonna
what's coming on now.
like, not in a weird way. I think he was more just like excited to finally have context to make fun of me for listening to reading these books and stuff. And he didn't happen for him.
Did not deliver for him.
Yeah, so I think he was a little disappointed by it.
Fine.
Which is really funny.
That is actually very
Joel,
funny.
if you're listening, which I know you're not because you suck.
No.
I love you, but you suck. I do not apologize for these statements.
You shouldn't have to.
There you go.
There we go. Also, speaking of the Onyx Storm comes out in like 2 days from when we're recording this.
Yes.
It'll be a day when we post it. A day after we post it, right?
I think so, yeah.
Because it comes out the day after. It's the 21st, right?
I thought so.
So it's Tuesday, I think.
It is Tuesday.
So the day after we post this, which is 2 days from now, we will have Onyx Storm. I would say in our hands. I will be listening to it because I do not have time to sit down and read that whole book. I will be listening to it at work. But yes, we will have it. I'm excited.
We will have it.
So.
My company has Monday off, but I do not because I will be processing payroll.
Oh, the woes of payroll.
And I think I'm going to be able to take an alternate day off, though, and I think I might take Friday off.
Do it.
So that I can listen to, I also do not have time to read that book.
No.
I also am not emotionally prepared for that book, so I think if I listen to it, it'll be better.
Yeah. No, I get distracted. I might like read and listen at the same time. I'll do that on occasion, but I usually like to listen and do other things in my life that I need to get done.
Yeah.
I might have it done by Friday, so we shall see. I won't tell you anything.
Don't tell me anything.
No, I will say I
won't. Might beg you to give me spoilers. We'll see where I'm at emotionally.
I'll say no, Orsha. You have to read it.
I love spoilers.
I know you do.
I like knowing what's going to happen.
And I hate giving them to you because I don't like them.
Okay.
I
that's
just
fine.
want to know.
That's
it's
fine.
not that you're fine with it. I really don't care that much, but I'm always like, in my head, I'm like, but you can't be okay with it.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
I love spoilers, and I went to see the Wicked Part 1 with my mother-in-law, and she had no idea what it really was about.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And so I was explaining to her that, like, the whole, Wicked is the story of the Wicked Witch of the West. And she was asking me so many questions. And I was like, I am not spoiling this for you because you need to watch it for the first time because it's important. And she kept on trying to be like, well, so, like, is Galinda really the evil one? Or, like, what happens here and this and that? And I was like, I'm not going to tell you.
Like, I love that you're thinking about it, but I can't tell you.
I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I appreciate it because as much as I love spoilers, I also, like, I would never spoil anything for anyone else.
Yeah.
Even if they asked me.
Complicated place to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see. It depends on how long. I think it's supposed to be about as long as Fourth Wing. It's not as long as Iron Flame. Iron Flame took me like a week and a half of listening.
Yeah.
Like solid listening.
I know. I have been listening to it for the past 2 weeks.
It takes forever.
I also listen. I haven't been listening to it. I've been listening to it at regular speed, which takes longer.
I would have a very hard time with that.
And also, life has been absolutely insane. And so I haven't had time to even listen to books, let alone read them.
Yes.
Lately. Yeah. Hey guys, if you live in the greater St. Louis area and you know that there's a house for sale, send it our way on the DMs on Instagram.
Yeah, we'll take it.
We'll take it. I need a house. Thank you.
We'll get there. You'll get there. It's been a rough journey.
It's been a rough journey, but it's fine. All right. I think that's everything.
Yeah, at this point we veered off from the original book, but it's okay. We were still book related. It was just not.
Yeah.
It was not.
This section of chapters did not have a whole lot happen in it.
Like, it did and it didn't. Like, there was a lot of, like, plot moving forward things, but it's not been the last, like, 2 sections where it's just, like, thing after thing after thing. This book kind of, like, takes it in a good way. Paces so fast in the beginning, which I love. I love a fast-paced beginning.
Yes.
And then it kind of levels out in the middle, gives you a breather.
Yeah.
And then just the last 100 pages.
Oh.
Whoo!
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Be prepared for that, y'all.
Be prepared.
If you're reading along with us, which you should.
Anyways. I guess we should probably wrap this up. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye, y'all.